Hello everyone, back tuning in today's second video doing GavsWeatherVids Sunday Round Up for today's second video. So as always on a Sunday, this is going to be your eclectic mix of this and that. Going to be looking at things like solar activity, sea surface temperature, anomalies, the QBO, the SOI, the AO, the NAO, and the weather next week, 10 days and beyond. So yeah, sit back, relax and enjoy, and I'll talk you through this week's Sunday Roundup very shortly. Just to say that the first video released today was the sixth, I should say, autumn analogues update. It's a bit of a solar special, and so have a look at that. And yeah, it's a bit of a solar special for our autumn update today. That video we place on the autumn updates page at GavsWeatherVids.com this evening with a written summary going over everything that we discuss in video. We're going to be live streaming from 6 o'clock. We're going to have our Sunday evening live stream from 6 o'clock, and that live stream is going to be looking at the 12-day data, of course, but it will also be looking at CANSIPS and CFSV2 data for the winter of 2020-21, the coming winter. So yeah, that can be from 6 o'clock on YouTube and across all GavsWeatherVids platforms as well. Should be a very interesting live stream, I would have thought. So that'll be coming up at 6 o'clock. Right then, so we've got a lot to get through for the Sunday Roundup this week, so I'll crack on with it very quick. Going to start off with a few pictures. This one shared on Twitter by Chris Clifford, showing cumulus clouds yesterday. I think Chris is in Norfolk, possibly around Norwich. That's sort of area. Not entirely sure where Chris is, but I think he's over on the eastern side of the country, showing so the pictures are showing cumulus clouds from yesterday. Big thank you to Chris for sharing those. And then we've got a few from Discord as well, because we have got the GavsWeatherVids Discord server. So if you would like to join our Discord, you can find the link to the GavsWeatherVids Discord server with the description in the videos at YouTube. This one from last weekend, I think, from Adrian Major. Adrian is down Somerset, sort of very fantastic view there from Adrian. Lovely summer's afternoon there. This one from Shiram, dry early morning in Sedgley back earlier on in the week. So a couple of nice pics there from Sedgley. This one, lovely rainbow picture from Almost Like a Boss over in America. I think Almost Like a Boss is in New York. So yeah, that's a fantastic rainbow picture there. And this one from Weather with Seth, I think, is also on the eastern side of the states, on the east coast. So Weather with Seth showing lovely cumulus clouds on a hot east coast afternoon. SB shared this one, Alpha SB, showing thunderclouds heading towards where SB was over on the eastern side of the UK earlier on in the week. That one was from Friday, actually. This one also from Sheeran, showing a nice little bit of mackerel over Sedgley, mackerel sky, or mackerel clouds. Jack99 shared these two, so it looks like the weather was closing in on Friday evening where Jack99 is. Sort of thundery, stormy looking clouds there, classic cumulonimbus clouds where Jack99 is. And yeah, so I think Jack had a bit of a storm late on Friday evening. Savvy shared these ones as well from North Wales. So again, storm clouds over North Wales there, Anglesey sort of area on Friday evening. So very intense looking clouds there, proper stormy looking skies in the north of Wales. Savvy said he'd never seen clouds like that before. And SB did indeed get a storm, so there's a little bit of a video capture here showing a little bit of lightning over on the eastern side of the country. And yeah, that's it. So that's it for the pictures on Discord for this week. So if you'd like to take a picture featured within videos, then please share with us on our Discord or on the comment box at GavsWeatherVids.com. We'll do a few more from the comment box. There have been a few nice pictures posted up on the comment box at GavsWeatherVids as well over the past few days. So I'll share some of those, perhaps in a video tomorrow. Also, you can share with us on our social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. When we can, we will share as many pictures as we can. So yeah, you can email them to us at GavsWeatherVids@gmail.com as well. And where we've got a bit of time, we'll always show you weather pictures. We do set aside the first 5 minutes or so of the Sunday Roundup. Of course, we won't be doing the Sunday Roundup for too much long. We've only got 4 more to do after this one, and then we stop them in favour of the winter updates from the 6th of September. So we'll have to find another video to use for your weather pictures after the end of the month. But for now, we are still showing weather pictures in GavsWeatherVids Sunday Round Up. Big thanks to everybody for sharing their weather pictures. Right, let's move on with the video. I'm going to start off with Tropical Atlantic. So we've got 3 interest areas just here. That's Isaias, just here, and also just here. Let's deal with them one by one. So let's deal with 10 first of all. So that's the remnants of 10, giving maximum sustained winds of 25 miles per hour, minimum central pressure of 1009 millibars. I think that's going to be gone within the next hour or two. We've also got this disturbance area just here, which is disturbance 1, giving a 30% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours and a 60% chance of cyclone formation in the next 5 days. So National Hurricane Centre is saying showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave located a few hundred miles east of the Leeward Islands continue to show signs of organisation. Recent satellite wind data, however, indicate the system remains disorganised at the surface. Environmental conditions are forecast to be conducive for additional development during the next few days, and a tropical depression could form by the middle of this week. This system is forecast to turn northwestward and then northward over the western Atlantic, passing north of the Leeward Islands on Monday and Tuesday. Looks like he's going to do something a little bit like that, perhaps. So we'll have to keep an eye on disturbance 1. And then we've got Tropical Storm Isaias. Now, this has weakened from yesterday. Yesterday it was a Category 1 hurricane. Now it's back down to a tropical storm. So Tropical Storm Isaias moving onto the southeastern coast of Florida is giving maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour. That's maximum sustained, so you have to think gusts are probably going up to like 70, 80 miles per hour with that. Minimum central pressure of 996 millibars and moving northwestwards at 9 miles per hour. Let's click on Isaias and see what's predicted to happen. So it's not going to go back up to a hurricane. It's going to remain now as a tropical storm, apparently. So Tropical Storm Isaias will move up the eastern side of Florida, up the east coast of Georgia, and then up through South and North Carolina, up to Virginia by the time we get through to Tuesday, and then carrying on further northwards until it finally gets to Newfoundland sometime around Thursday, when it will be a post-tropical depression. Going to give a drenching to the eastern seaboard of the United States. Could be torrential rain, thunderstorms up that east coast. Going to be quite nasty with Tropical Storm Isaias on the eastern seaboard of the United States over the next few days. So we shall see and continue to monitor that. And of course, we'll keep a close eye on Disturbance 1 as well. Right, so tropical solar activity, I should say, next. That's tropical storm activity done. Solar activity next. This other solar disk is looking on our side of this today from solarham.net. We have got a couple of areas of sunspots, a couple of sunspot areas. The sun is going through a slightly more active phase at the moment as we begin to move in towards solar cycle number 25. However, solar activity is at very low levels and is expected to remain at very low levels for the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids Solar Activity Tracker, updated by our good friend James Ackrill to the 2nd of August to today. So you can see we are getting a little tick up in activity at the moment, and you expect this as we're moving on into the start of solar cycle number 25, of course. So the orange line is depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. So you can see there, for example, a couple of sunspots, and through here as well. We are still getting quite long stretches, but don't have any sunspots as well. But where we currently are is just here, and gradually over the last few days we have seen a few more sunspots beginning to emerge on the solar disk. This is still a very, very minimal level of solar activity, but just very gradually we're beginning to see a little bit of an uptick in sunspot numbers, and so this is starting to lift our trend lines. You have the thick green and the thick red lines. That's just starting to lift them up ever so slightly. So yes, we are going through a slightly more active phase on the solar disk, as you would expect, as we are beginning to move in towards the solar cycle 25. Of course, we also see up here, this is showing solar flux, which is like the noise that the sun is giving off, and that's beginning to tick up ever so slightly as well. So everything just ticking up a little bit at the moment on the solar disk, as you would expect, beginning to move into solar cycle number 25. This from our good friend Richard Trott. This is showing spotless days and the current spotless stretch. So obviously we've got sunspots at the moment, so we actually haven't got a spotless stretch right now. So the current stretch of spotlessness is 0 days. For 2020 so far, we've had 153 days without sunspots. That's 72% of the year, comparable to 2019 with 281 in total for the calendar year. That was 77%. Still a lot of that's still a very high percentage of spotless days for this year. But again, very gradually, we're just beginning to see activity lifting up slightly. So I suspect we have started solar cycle 25, and I think before too much longer we will get an announcement to tell us that announcement from NASA to tell us that we are in solar cycle number 25, and we perhaps have been in it for a little while. We might have been in it for like a couple of months or so. But we'll find out before too much longer, I think. Big thank you to James and to Richard for sending through that data. Now, this is how the oceans were looking in terms of sea surface temperature anomalies on the 27th of July. Since then, we haven't had an update at NOAA, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. So I'm not going to bother comparing this to last week, because this is basically how things were looking last week. So we'll just have a quick recap on how things were looking last week, as we haven't got a more recent sea surface temperature anomaly map to go out. So first of all, the ENSO region. This is how the ENSO region was looking when we did last week's GavsWeatherVids Sunday Round Up, basically. And so for the ENSO region, we can see that we've more or less got a weak La Nina signature. So we've got the strongest area of colder than average sea surface temperature anomalies on the eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific. But these colder than average anomalies are sort of stretching out now through the ENSO regions, pretty much from Peru over here, more or less towards Indonesia over there. So that's a signature for a weak La Nina. And it's a little bit stronger over towards the Peruvian side, but basically we're at weak La Nina now with the sea surface temperature anomalies. Northern part of the Pacific Ocean becoming very warm up there, or staying very warm. It's been really warm up there through the northeast of the Pacific over the past few weeks and months. That carries on. The North Atlantic also looking pretty warm as well. Again, the tropical Atlantic is primed for a big hurricane season. If everything else comes together, has significantly warmer than average sea surface temperature anomalies through the tropical Atlantic. Then going further north, up to the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean, is very much warmer than average up the eastern seaboard as well. And those warmer than average sea surface temperature anomalies do extend to the south of Greenland too. Norwegian Sea also looks pretty warm. So yeah, the Atlantic is in a proper warm state this year. It's probably the warmest it's been for several years. When we do the winter updates, we will go back through the archives. It's going to be a little bit difficult as was a new version of BC Survey Temperature, so I've got nothing really to compare it to. But we'll go back through the archives and try anyway to ascertain when the last time was the Atlantic was as warm as this. I think it will be a little while ago that the Atlantic was as warm as this. CFSV2 continues to forecast a weak La Nina for this coming winter. So this has been a consistent forecast from the CFSV2 since January. Did ENSO update, of course, on Friday evening, and that revealed that nearly all models are going for a La Nina, albeit a weak one, probably through the rest of this year and into winter 2020-21. CFSV2 has been forecasting this since January as the first model to forecast it. So we give a lot of criticism to the CFS, or I do anyway. I'm on a video from years ago saying it's the worst model in the world, and or something like that. Rather infamous video, but I know a lot of you enjoyed at the time. So we do give a lot of stick to the CFSV2, but you have to say this has been a tremendous forecast from the CFS. Right since January, it's been forecasting this weak La Nina. It has never wavered on it either. It's not like it sort of went the other way for a while and then went back to weak La Nina, something like that. It has consistently been going for this weak La Nina since January. It's still doing it now. We're more or less in weak La Nina now anyway. So you see from the black dashed line that it's being forecast to fall away through the rest of this summer into the autumn, bottoming out sometime near to Christmas around here, and then starting to tick back up to ENSO neutral through next spring, which is very, very typical. But yeah, we're going down to between around 1.5 degrees below average, so it's solidly weak La Nina territory there from the CFSV2 for the end of the year, and so it looks like this winter is going to be a weak La Nina winter for 2020-21. Of course, when we do winter updates, we will be analysing what that could mean, what it could mean for the winter. So more about that later on in the year. Southern Oscillation Index looking like this. This is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state down in the southern Pacific Ocean, not driving anything. None of these indexes do. It just tells what the atmosphere is doing. So when the SOI is in its positive phase, the atmospheric setup in the Southern Ocean will be reflective of La Nina. When it's in its negative phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. This is from Queensland Government, of course. So again, we covered all this in the ENSO update on Friday, but for anybody that didn't see it, I'll just quickly go through it. So back earlier on in July, 23rd of July, we went very positive with the SOI as we go on 22nd, and the 21st, and also 24th. 25th also. These are preliminary numbers, they don't change too much. So all of those numbers are very positive, reflective of an atmospheric state that's kind of La Nina-esque. The last few days have been a little bit more negative. 30th of July goes down to minus 17. 31st of July goes down to minus 16. 1st of August goes down to minus 9. That's more reflective of an atmospheric state that's reflective of El Nino, really. And then the 2nd of August is up minus 4, so not quite as negative. There. Overall, the SOI 30-day average, which is this red line, has trended more positive from where we was like at the beginning of July down here to where we are at the end of July, which is up there. So obviously we did trend much more positive with the SOI 30-day average over the month, over July. We've ticked down a little bit over the past few days, and we should wait and see where that goes. I expect that won't tick down all that much more, and I think we're moving towards a weak La Nina, so I think we'll see the SOI going increasingly towards a more positive phase over the next few weeks and months. Arctic sea ice extent next. So this is from National Snow and Ice Data Centre. So yes, here we go then. So you know what's happened with this melt season? We have had a big melt season. And last week we are having a big melt season again. Last week we was quite substantial. The blue line's like this year, but last week was quite substantially under the death spiral year of 2012. Remember, we don't bottom out with Arctic size melt until like the early part of September. Over the past week, though, we see that the melt season has sort of started to pull up a little bit. So we're not dropping as quickly. We are still trending downwards, of course, because we won't reach the end of this Arctic size melt season until the beginning of September. So we're going to carry on trending down. But you see how over the past week we have arrested the decline a little bit. We've arrested the decline in Arctic size melt just a little bit, and we've come closer to 2012. We may sort of see it taking off again and beat the death spiral year this season for this melt season. But my guess is what we'll probably do is in the end we'll probably converge with 2012 and then probably pull up short of 2012 and do something a little bit like that. We may do. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But definitely the rate of decline of Arctic sea ice melt has slowed up. Let's put it that way. It's slowed up over the past week. We are still under 2012 for this point of the year. We are still under that red dash line, which is 2012, the death spiral year. But we're pulling up, so we're not melting the Arctic sea ice quite as quickly as we was last week and the week before. And yeah, we'll see where this goes, of course, over the next month to 6 weeks. We've got around another 4 to 6 weeks of melting to go for this season. So it's still a while to go, and we shall see where that goes, of course, over the next few weeks. Right, so QBO next, quasi-biennial oscillation. We haven't got the number in yet for the QBO for July, so we're still waiting for that to come in. It'll probably come in tomorrow or Tuesday. This is from NASA, so you know what we're looking at with this. We've got the westerly QBO phases just here. We've got the easterly QBO phases where we've got these blue and green colours just here. So we know what's happened through this season. We should have, or through the past few months, we should have gone into an easterly QBO. We should have seen this blue and green area descending nicely through the atmosphere, and so should have gone into an easy phase of the QBO. What's actually happened is that we've got stuck somewhere between easterly and westerly. You see how these raggedy, browny coloured, goldy coloured lines continue in the troposphere around 30 HPA just here. They carry on. And over the past month or so, I've actually seen the westerly QBO begin to strengthen a little bit at the top of the troposphere around 30 to 25 HPA. Have seen the westerly QBO kind of coming back a little bit. We also see westerly QBO right at the top of the atmosphere in the stratosphere at around 10 HPA up here. That's not particularly unusual. If we was in an easterly QBO, as we should be now, then by this point you expect to see westerly QBO beginning to re-emerge right at the top of the stratosphere, but it takes a while for that to move down into the troposphere, of course. So that's not particularly unusual what's going on up there. It's what's happening in the tropospheric level of the atmosphere, but it's quite unusual. Westerly QBO does not want to go, and so we're still stuck somewhere between an easterly and a westerly QBO, and we're waiting to see how this is going to resolve itself. Eventually it will resolve itself. We will either see the westerly QBO powering up again, and so in that case we'll have had another failure of the easterly QBO as we had in 2016. Conversely, we might see westerly QBO sort of just fading off and the easterly QBO coming back. Or I suppose it's possible we might stay stuck somewhere between west and east for the time being over the next few months. So that is all to be determined, and that's going to be a big factor within this year's winter updates, I'm sure, because the QBO, it's like a weakening and strengthening of the zone of westerlies. So when you're in a westerly QBO, you strengthen the zone of westerlies. When you're in an easterly QBO, you weaken the zone of westerlies. And of course, that's particularly important for winter, because if you strengthen the zone of westerlies when you favour a milder Atlantic-driven winter, you weaken the zone of westerlies, you favour or increase the possibility anyway of more sort of blocking and weakening the zone of westerlies. So within the winter updates, this is going to be very, very important, and we shall see how that plays out over the next few weeks and months, of course. At the moment, it's still a very, very confused picture. Arctic oscillation observed and forecast is looking like this. So the AO, of course, again, it's just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric status. All of these indexes are the SOI, the QBO, the AO, the NAO. They are all just indexes that tell us what the atmosphere is doing, really. So the Arctic oscillation, when it's in its negative phase, you've got high pressure, you've got blocking up over the Arctic. When the AO is in its positive phase, you will have low pressure over the Arctic. Of course, we've had this very big melt season so far for Arctic sea ice. We have also been in a negative AO, so we've had appreciable levels of blocking, and when you have a negative AO in the summer, you do tend to get quite a big melt season. Anyway, where we are right now is just here. We're weekly negative with the AO. Looks like over the next couple of days, the GFS ensembles are moving back to slightly positive, neutral to slightly positive territory, before maybe taking it back into weekly negative again later on into August. So it looks like we're in a weekly negative phase of the Arctic Oscillation right now, and looks like that's going to go on for a little while. NAO observed and forecast is the same idea. So again, black line shows where we've been with the NAO, red lines at the end where GFS ensembles forecasting the NAO to go. We was negative with the NAO through July. July was a negative NAO month. We've gone weekly positive with the NAO right now. And the GFS ensembles are forecasting that we're going to stay weekly positive, really, with the NAO over the first half of August. Maybe some indications, but we trend rather more negative as we get towards the middle of August. But like for the next week to 10 days, it looks like the NAO is in a rather weekly positive phase. That probably coincides with a strengthening of the Azores high, and so the hot weather that we are now beginning to see getting involved in this summer is probably to be expected, with the NAO starting to go positive as the Azores high is sort of powering up and allowing those ridges to build into western and northern Europe as well. It's those ridges from the Azores high that pulls up hot air from the south. Right, so let's do some forecasting then. We're going to have a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. Old West Central looking at London. So here we go. The red line is 30-year upper air temperature average for London. Cooler than average at the moment. If you like cool summer weather, make the most of the next couple of days, because from around middle of the week onwards, the upper air temperatures are starting to lift up, and yeah, going very, very warm to hot again as we go through the end of this coming week into like next weekend, and then on into the second week of August. Above average temperatures there, and not as dramatically so. I explained this in yesterday's video. So the rising temperature isn't as dramatic as the one we had on Friday, the heat spike. It's a much more gradual lift up in the temperature, but also it's not such a dramatic drop actually either. So this is probably not quite as an extreme hot spell as we had on Friday, but it is much more sustained by the look of it. It's a prolonged, very warm to hot spell of weather that's setting up there from around sort of the 7th of August and going probably through something like the 12th or the 13th. So it's around 5 days of very warm to hot weather being predicted there, before there is a drop in the temperature then that takes place around the middle part of August. It does start to cool down then, but this second week of August is shaping up to be very, very warm, potentially across many parts of the country, and a lot of dry weather to come as well. There's barely any precipitation spikes until around the middle part of August, and then it does perhaps start to get a little bit cooler and also a little bit more unsettled. Temperature anomalies from the 2nd to the 10th of August are warmer than average, and this does encompass the next couple of days, which are cooler, of course, so expect these to trend hotter over the next few days. Precipitation anomalies also looking drier than average, particularly so for England and for Wales as well. This is the latest wind chart from earthnorthschool.net, just confirming we are in a cooler air mass at the moment. We've got low pressure up towards Iceland, and we're bringing in these westerly winds. They are cooler winds as well, coming in from off the Atlantic. If we overlay the temperature contrast with that, just here you will see that we have definitely cooled things down a lot since that heat spike on Friday. So we cool up, we bring the air in from off the Atlantic, it's much more comfortable, and if that's how you like summer weather, make the most of the next few days. Right, this is how the UK Met is looking for Wednesday. So Wednesday, we're still in a relatively changeable situation with low pressure out to the northwest of Scotland. We'll be starting to get a little bit warmer down in the south and southeast, even as early as Wednesday. We'll be starting to increase the humidity. But essentially, up to Wednesday, we're still relatively unsettled and quite cool. But through Thursday and into Friday, that's when the high pressure takes over across the country and to the east, turns the winds into those east-southeasterlies, turns us dry, increasing amounts of sunshine. Temperatures will start to soar as well, so by Friday we're probably back into the 30s Celsius quite widely across the country, and that goes on into Saturday as well. By Saturday, as far as we go with UK Met, by Saturday we're just suggesting a little bit of low pressure both to our west and south, possibly hinting at a thundery breakdown over the weekend, over next weekend, 8th, 9th of August. But Saturday could be a very, very hot day with temperatures into the mid-30s Celsius across many parts of the country. Dependent on whether thunderstorms break out, of course. This is the GFS midnight run. So, again, we've got heights rise to the south on Wednesday, but we're still relatively unsettled on Wednesday with rain in the north. We'll be turning warmer and more humid down in the south. Thursday and Friday, the high pressure takes over. Winds turn into the south, start to pull the hot air back up from France, and so temperatures will be lifting up through the second half of next week. Upper air temperatures are not as extreme as they were last Friday, for this coming Friday, but it's enough to get us back to around 30 degrees down in the south. And then into the weekend, again, we've got this heat pushing northwards from France, keeping us, or turning us increasingly hot. I think Saturday could be the peak of the temperature for this particular hot spell, actually. Temperature could get back into mid-30s Celsius down in the south on Saturday. Then a slight repositioning of the reef sort of changes the wind direction a little bit. This is still high pressure dominated, still very warm to hot, but we're just bringing a little bit more of an easterly flow then. And so this will start to push the hottest temperatures to the west, probably, with more east airs tend to cool down a little bit as the air is coming in off the North Sea, but would still be very warm to hot across most parts of the country. Moving up to day 10, the high pressure is maintained over Scandinavia. Winds continue to be blowing from an easterly direction. That's going to be very warm. That'll be very warm to hot with easterly winds in August. But it changes your orientation of the hottest temperatures. So with the hottest temperatures from like the southeast and the east probably move westwards towards parts of southwest England, Wales, northwest England, southwest Scotland. Could start to get hottest temperatures there. And like the Midlands, East Anglia, southeast and East England could start to cool down a little bit as the wind comes in off the North Sea. But it's mainly dry. It's mostly fine. Very warm to hot with loads of sunshine. These are classic summer charts that we're seeing here for this second week of August. Upper air temperatures again very warm, not excessive, not that extreme heat spike that we had on Friday, but very warm across most parts of the country. Up towards the end of this GFS midnight run, we start to break down the ridge a little bit, move low pressure in off the Atlantic. So we do eventually get ourselves back to something much cooler, much more unsettled by the middle part of August. Could August be a month of two halves, a hot first half and a cooler, more unsettled second half? We shall see. Right, that's for GFS. GEM is looking like this. Now, I have to say, but warning, heads up, GEM is more extreme with the heat. So this is what the GEM is showing for Wednesday. Again, rather unsettled. Could be turning humid in the south, but for the north and west, rather unsettled. Thursday and Friday, the high pressure takes over across the country and to our east. Winds are pushing up from a southeasterly direction by Friday, bringing those hot temperatures back up from France. Into next weekend, the heat continues to build with the GEM. We don't get that change in the orientation of the high pressure such as the GFS is showing. Instead, we just maintain the ridge to our east, pulling up these hot southeasterly winds. Upper air temperatures show that the plus 20 Celsius isotherm which gets us towards the mid to upper 30 Celsius on the surface. Plus 20 Celsius ice firm is moving northwards from France on Saturday, and then the GEM takes that further northwards into Sunday. There is the plus 20 Celsius ice firm across many eastern parts of the country again on Sunday. So the GEM for Saturday afternoon next Saturday afternoon will probably be comparable actually to like what's just gone before on Friday, with temperatures going in towards the upper 30s Celsius. Remember, the GFS is not as hot as this, but the GEM is very, very hot. Eventually suggesting a bit of a thundery scenario as we go through towards Monday, the 10th of August. Still looking very hot with those upper air temperatures. But eventually the GM does start to drop in some cooler air from the Atlantic and suggests a breakdown and suggests that things would be starting to go a little bit fungy, but the upper air temperatures are easing backwards by day 10. And then we've got the ECM. Now, I want to show you the ECM midnight run. That was a very, very extreme, midday run, first of all. That was a very extreme hot run last night. So I'll just talk you through that first. So this is from yesterday. This was updated yesterday evening. It set the forums and social media on fire when this came through last night. So it's same idea, of course, high pressure turrets pulling up those southerly winds, but it was the upper air temperatures that were really dramatic. So this is Saturday from last night's ECM plus 20 Celsius ice firm pushing northwards from France. And then what happened, it's just a bit of a thundery scenario for Sunday, but what happened with this ECM midday run yesterday was that the plus 20 Celsius ice firm just stuck across England and Wales for 3 days. 3 days of a plus 20 Celsius ice firm across the southeastern part of England. There we are on Tuesday the 11th. The plus 20 Celsius ice firm is still there. If there was a scenario that was going to get us to like 40 degrees, it would probably be that. Would probably be the plus 20 Celsius ice firm sitting across the south and southeast for like 2 or 3 days. Because it probably can't happen just in one day. That gets us to the upper 30s with one day with the plus 20 Celsius ice firm, we think. But if we just get like 40 degrees, which as far as we know has never happened except possibly in 1808. It's possible we got to 40 degrees on the 13th of July, 1808. Down across southern England. But other than that, it's never happened, we don't think, in the UK. But if we was to get to 40 degrees, it would probably be with something like that. The 20 Celsius ice firm just sitting there in the south of the southeast for 3 days. And just the heat continues to build. But I can tell you that the midnight run has backed off from that very, very extreme scenario. It is still really warm this coming weekend, but it has backed away from that very, very extreme scenario that set the forums and social media on fire last night. So this is the latest ECM. This is the midnight run. Again, Wednesday looks rather showery and, for the north anyway, a little bit on the cool side. Very warm down in the southeast and humid already. Thursday and Friday, yes, same idea. We're pulling up those southerly winds, so it's turning hotter through the second half of the coming week. But look at the upper air temperatures. They are not as extreme on Friday as they were on yesterday's ECM midday run. This is Saturday. Again, probably the peak of this particular hot spell could be Saturday. High pressure to our east, low pressure west. Wind is drawing up from the south. The plus 20 Celsius ice firm is moving northwards, getting up towards northern parts of France on Saturday. So, yes, it is a very hot air mass. But by Sunday, we're already suggesting thunderstorms breaking out. And the plus 20 Celsius ice firm is just about managing to make it into the far southeastern tip of the country. So it's not sort of 2 or 3 days stuck under the plus 20 Celsius ice firm on this ECM run. Then we go through to Monday, and high pressure is still in control, but similar to what the GFS will show, just a slight change in the orientation of the high pressure starts to bring the air in from off the North Sea a little bit. So that allows, it's still very warm to quite hot air mass, but just allows temperatures to fall back a little bit, particularly for more northern parts of the country. Nevertheless, I think we're looking at temperatures going into the mid-30s Celsius again by next weekend. So this is from Tometeo.com. This is showing maximum temperatures for Friday. So on Friday, you see wide across England and Wales with sort of upper 20s to low 30s. And then on Saturday is a slightly hotter day, actually. This is the 8th of August. So then you see we're in those deep red colours. That's taking us to like mid-30s across many parts of England and Wales on Saturday, mid-30s Celsius temperatures. Sunday is still very warm, but it isn't quite as hot on Sunday. And same idea then through up towards day 10. We keep those very warm temperatures going in the deep orange shades, but not going into the deep reds. So temperatures just fall back, ease back a little bit after that peak next Saturday. This rainfall forecast based on that ECM run, so showery in the north today, mainly dry down in the south. Rain coming and going through the early part of this week, never really making it into the southeast. Then we go dry, of course, we've turned hot. Later on in the week it turns mostly dry. Possibly something a bit thundery there. That is going to be the 9th of August, possibly a bit thundery in the north then. But not much suggestion of thunderstorms really, despite the hot temperatures, until around day 10, when we're possibly seeing some storms trundling up from the south. CFSV2 finally, so these are 500 millibar heights bringing down to weak periods. The first weak period takes us from the 2nd to the 8th of August. The coming week we'll have high pressure building up from the south, southwest, low pressure, and the jet stream being pushed further northwards. After a cooler and more comfortable start, we'll be turning hotter via that high pressure from the south later on in the week. Week 2 is the 9th to 15th of August. High pressure then sitting over to the east of the country, low pressure out to west. Obviously, this will be drawing up wind from the south, dry and hot with that. Big change for week 3. This is the 16th to the 22nd of August. The high pressure then goes north. High pressure sets up around Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure develops underneath it. That's like much cooler potentially. And also very unsettled, with low pressure bringing bouts of rain in from off the Atlantic. That's genuine northern blocking there. Very strange to see that after what we have in week 2. And then week 3, also looking rather cool and unsettled. This is 23rd, 29th of August. Excuse me, with a trough of low pressure in over Scandinavia and a ridge out towards Greenland and Iceland. That would have the wind in from an east or from a north to northeasterly direction. Could be rather cool and showery with that. So maybe it's going to be that summer is going to peak in the second half of in the second week of August, I should say. In the second half of August might go autumnal. That certainly looks to be the signal from the CFSV2 there. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is CFSV2 700 millibar height anomaly forecast for September. This is how September is currently looking with the CFSV2 monthly. Very, very unsettled September being indicated here. Deep low pressure over to west of the country. Big trough, bringing in the jet stream off the Atlantic like that. That'll be a very, very wet September and really unsettled too. The temperature anomaly with CFSV2 for September is close to average. It's neither warmer or colder than average, although if we did have such an unsettled month as that, you would suspect that the temperature would probably be quite cool. And the precipitation anomaly is very substantially wetter than normal for September with the CFS today. Remember, it's changed day by day, but yeah, wetter than average month, significantly so for this September. Cool and wet September on the way, perhaps. We shall see. Right, been a very, very extended video today, so I hope you found it all interesting and informative. Please give us a like on video. Let us know in the comments what you think, and make sure you subscribe to the GavsWeatherVids YouTube channel, as it is Subscribe Sunday. We shall be back at 6 o'clock with our live stream. No doubt a lot of the stuff that we talked about in this Sunday Roundup will be discussed in the live stream, and of course in that live stream we're going to have a look at some winter data from CAN 6 and the CFSV2 winter of 2020-21. So I'll see you live from 6 o'clock. For this week's Sunday Roundup, that's all for now though, and thanks for watching.